Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're doing well. So the 10-year 3519. So we woke up this morning. We ended yesterday in the 3.4s, and woke up this morning still in the 3.4s, moving along until somebody at the Fed said, "Hey, we're probably going to have to raise the Fed funds rate again in May." So the meeting is the 2nd and 3rd, and from there it went from the 4s to the 5s and just leveled off for the rest of the day. So not a big deal, but it's amazing what a word can do or a statement can do to just kind of set everybody like, oh, and I don't know what was a panic, but it certainly unsettled people in the markets, right? So that was that. Had a great conversation with a gentleman that I've talked to for the last decade, Eric Levin, and he's an industry guy, and we're kicking things around. And one of the things we touched on a lot, right? We covered a lot of ground, but one of the things he was like, "So Jeff, so if I heard you correctly, again, we've been talking for a decade. You've created these processes. You have a team that has processes, and sounds to me that one of the formulas of success is that you consistently do the same positive things over and over, and when it needs to be tweaked or adjusted, you're making the adjustments." And I thought, you know what, that pretty much sums it up. We have a great process. We are consistent with our follow-up and our follow-through, and when it's needed to be tweaked, we always have an eye for improvement. So I love that, right? Another thing, the whoop, right? We've talked about the whoop, right? Here's what I've learned. Here's what I learned last week. Last week, my family was on spring break, and I had a staycation, right? So I stayed home and kept everything under control, right? My family had a nice time on spring break, and so I didn't go to the gym, right? I just took the week off, right? With everything with the animals and this, that, and the other. I was like, you know what? Most importantly, I don't like to get complicated, and that was complicating my life. So I said, I'm just going to not do it, right? I'll just sleep in a little bit till 7:30 instead of waking up at 5 and come home and relax and go to bed and rinse and repeat, right? What I found is my recovery all last week, my sleep was great. My recovery, not so much. So I didn't put out any energy. And it affected the next days. I was always in like this deficit for recovery. You have to Google what that means in the Whoop world, but needless to say, I was like, that's interesting, right? And the other part where I know that recovery is when I overstrain, right? Like, hey, you need to put out this much energy today, and I blow through it, right? And when that happens, usually my next day energy is affected, or my strain or recovery is affected by that. So, what I'm figured out, I think, and what I like to watch is there's that harmony, right, between how much energy you're putting out and how much rest and recovery you're getting, right, to optimize your, how you feel all day long, right? So, pretty cool stuff if you're into that kind of thing, and if you're not, then, just delete. Anyways, if you have any questions with regards, had a great conversation with another past client we've done a few deals with. Called me today and was like, "Hey Jeff, we're looking to maybe buy, we sold our house and whatever, and now we're probably going to buy something. We were going to leave Georgia, we're not, and within the next 3 or 4 months, let's talk." We'll talk for 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. And he says, I appreciate it, man. I love talking about this stuff. I said, I do too. I said, "Why don't you call me at home on like Saturday night around 6:30 with a bourbon in my hand?" And we can talk for hours about where we think the industry is going, where we think the housing market is going, where we think interest rates are going, where do we think inflation is going, and we covered that too. It was awesome. But if you have any questions with regards to the Whoop, if you have any questions with regards to the housing market or mortgages or anything like that, 404-915-6834 or glickmortgage.com. Have a great Friday evening and have a blessed weekend. Take care.